Hi, Tom Freethos here, producer and educator, and today I'm going to be exploring the creative potential of Noiiz. It is a subscription-based sample library with thousands of royalty-free loops and one-shots. But what makes Noiiz really special is the Noiiz plugin, which gives you access to the Noiiz library direct from your DAW. This is now joined by the Noiiz player with a selection of sample-based instruments, and they've also launched a range of effects starting with the Noiiz filter. All of which are available with a subscription, and you can get started straight away for free. So let's check it out. So using the web browser, you can search the Noiiz library as you would any other sample library, but to get the most out of it, you're going to want to download the Noiiz plugin and the Noiiz player. Once you've installed it onto your system, you're good to go. I'm using Ableton Live 9 here, but the Noiiz plugins work in pretty much all of the major DAWs. I've got the Noiiz plugin on channel 1 here, and I've got the Noiiz player ready to go on channel 2. A very important thing to mention at this point is you need to have a fairly decent broadband connection in your studio to be able to search the Noiiz library from the Noiiz plugin. Pretty obvious for most of us, most people have, but there may be one or two people out there who are writing music in a shed in the forest or in an underground cave perhaps, who knows. So I'm going to do a search for drums, and you can browse through packs, and you can browse through playlists which are created by Noiiz contributors. Sounds for me are generated by the Noiiz system based on my previous searches and my musical preferences. You can search for instruments, and there's a huge array of sampled instruments in the Noiiz library. You can search by genre, charts. You can even search by your favorite creator as well. So if you've got someone you like to follow, you like the sound of, you can search through all of their content. Now, rather than trawl through thousands of drum loops and one-shots, I'm going to kickstart this video by going to a pack I've already favorited. This one called Midnight by someone called Kanai. And I know that there are some really good glitchy breaks and some garagey loops in here. So I'm searching for drums and loops. Okay, let's see what comes up. Okay, both quite interesting. Okay, I'm looking for something in the sort of 130 to 140 range. That's kind of the tempo range I tend to work in. Yes, that's cool. Yeah, sounds chunky. Okay, so once you've found a sample that you want to use, there's a couple of things that you can do within the Noiiz plugin here before you drag it into your project. And you can change the pitch of the sample to -12 or +12 semitones, which is really handy if you're working with individual notes or tonal samples. You can pitch them to get them in the key with your project. You can also change the tempo as well. Which is great. So it really doesn't give you any limitations on the tempo range of samples. If you click on this little link here, what that does is actually links it to the tempo of your project as well. I actually quite like the tempo of this groove already, so I'm going to stick with 136. And when you're ready to download, it is super easy to drag the audio, to click on drag audio down the bottom here. And what it does, it downloads it from the Noiiz library straight into your project. Look at that. Brilliant. Okay, I'm just going to get that bang on 136. Great. Next, I'm going to look for some another layer of drums or percussion to go over that. And now I know that what tempo I'm working with, 136. I'm going to go to, I'm looking for something kind of skippy to complement the drums that I've got. So I'm going to type in skippy drums, see what comes up. I'm looking for loops. I'm going to narrow the tempo range a bit. I'm going to look in the region of 135 to 140. Let's see what comes up here. One of the great things about the Noiiz plugin is that you can actually audition the samples over your existing project whilst it's playing. So I can see how these two grooves are going to work together. So if I play this groove here, which I've already got, go back to Noiiz plugin. Okay, one of the things you need to do here is you need to turn the tempo link back on, so you can see now that that says 136 there, which is what my tempo of my project is. So let's just try that again. Yes, great, they work really well. Okay, so again, I'm going to just drag the audio into an empty space in Ableton. Ableton's going to create a new channel for me straight away, and I'll just pop that in there. Let's have a listen to those together. Okay, great. Once you've got your groove into your project, you can do a bit of personalization, add some variation, and if you're familiar with Ableton Live, you would be familiar with our friend Beat Repeat. So I'm going to put Beat Repeat onto our drums, and I'm actually just going to name this one drums. I like to be organized with naming channels. Okay, so I just want to add like maybe just a couple of beats at the beginning of every 4 bars on that one. Okay, I'm going to take some of these bits out as well, just to highlight. There's like quite a cool little hi-hat roll there, so I'm just going to highlight that by taking out the percussion when that drops in. Do the same at the end as well. Okay, great. The next thing I wanted to do is add some vocals to this project, and I wanted to show you a vocal sample pack which I recently recorded for the Noiiz library. I recorded it with Sabrina Finley, singer and songwriter, and we recorded 190 different phrases and loops and one-shots, which are available to you through your Noiiz subscription. I'll just give you a little bit of a demo of some of these.
Let's make it, let's break it.
So some nice phrases in there. There's also some really short little stabs and things. Okay, so I'm looking for something fairly simple for this project. That sounds nice in E minor. Let me try that with the project playing in the background. Yeah, that works. Okay, so I'm going to drag the audio again just into a blank space in Ableton here. Ableton's going to create a new channel for me again. And let's have a listen to that. Actually, what I'm going to do first of all is just duplicate our beats over. So we're working with 8 bars. Always like to work in blocks of 8. Bring that down a little touch. Going to copy this over as well, and we'll put that at the beginning of the 5th bar. Nice. Now, it's pretty essential to add some harmony to your vocals, and you can do that pretty easily with just an existing sample by pitching it up or down. I'm going to just call this one Vox, and we'll duplicate that channel. Now, if you're familiar with your scales, you know that if you pitch something up by +7 semitones, it gives you a perfect fifth, but if you pitch it down by -5 semitones, it takes you to the same place. And that gives us a B, which works well in harmony with the E that we've got, so I'll do the same with this one. Add a bit of reverb to both of those. And a bit of delay as well. Just going to pitch that one to the left, pitch that one right. Yes, that sounded lush. Great. Now we know the key we're working in. We're working in E minor. That's going to dictate what we search for going forward. So next thing I'm going to do is find a bass line. Again, I'm looking for loops, and I'm going to give us a tempo range here of 135 to 140. Now we know that we're working in the key of E minor. I'm also going to add E in there as well, because that could work. And I'm also going to sort the results by tempo low to high, because we're sort of in the lower bracket of our tempo range, 136. Okay, great. I'm going to play the project and we'll see what we've got available to us here. Sounds interesting, not really what we're looking for, a bit quirky. Yeah, that sounds nice. Okay, that sounds great. That's what we're looking for. Great. Okay, so I'm going to again just drag. That's already synced to our tempo there, so I'm just going to drag that again into a blank space down the bottom here. Let's loop those. What's that? 4 bars. Let's loop those over. Yeah, it's quite melodic. I like that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to, again, add a little bit of variation, just personalise this a little bit, take out some of these bits. Yes, sounding good. Now I'm going to create a bit of movement with this bass, and I'm going to introduce here the Noiiz filter. The Noiiz filter is the first in a series of effects that are now available through the Noiiz library. I really like this filter. It's got a really simple interface, but it's got a lovely sound to it. And we've just got a few parameters down the bottom here. I'm just going to solo this so we can have a listen to some of these. Can add a little bit of drive. The drive's got a really nice sound to it. Crunchy, but not too overpowering. And you've got this parameter here called ambience, and what they've done here is they've recorded a whole bunch of different sounds from various different interesting sources. Things like campfire, drone, there's even shaver in here as well. and you can add a layer of extra noise to your filter. So let's have a listen to this one. Let's try this. Stick a bit of shaver in there. Allows you to add some really interesting extra sound to your filtered signal. I'm going to go with drone here. Done a little bit of that in there. Now I want to create some movement over 4 bars here. I'm probably going to start with... Let's start about there. Now, because I've selected the frequency here, Ableton has already selected the automation lane that I need, and I'm going to automate this over these 4 bars. I'm just going to put a dot there and a dot there, and let's push it up to about there. That sounds cool. Going to give that a little bit of delay. Okay, I think we need to get some synths or some pads into this project. So I'm going to go back to the Noiiz plugin, and we'll do a fresh search for pads. Again, we're looking for loops. Going to do a search again for 135 to 140. Might not matter so much with just searching for pad sounds. Definitely want to search by key, so we know that we're working in E minor. I'm going to add E in there again. And I'm going to sort these by, again, go from tempo low to high. Cool, I'll play the project and see what we've got. That's nice. Perfect. I think this one's got some similar kind of timbre to our vocals. So let's just find a gap to put that in. Again, just drag the audio, stick that in down there. Looks like this has given us quite a long loop, this one. Let's go back to our 8 bars. I'll just copy the bass over while we're at it. Cool, call this one pads. Stick a bit of EQ on there as well. Just a bit of cut. Now, it's a really cool trick to add some symmetry to your project, to get some symmetry between pads or synth sounds and another rhythmical element of your project. I think symmetry is really important to include in your music, because our ears and our brains can't really decipher too many different rhythms going on at the same time. So adding some rhythmical symmetry between the parts of your tracks, it creates more of a hook, hooks the listener's ear into the groove of your tune. So you can do that by adding a gate. So let's grab a gate. Put that on the pads. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sidechain this gate from another rhythmical element in our project. I think let's go with bass. So what's going to happen is basically the signal from the bass line is going to dictate when the gate opens and shuts, which will create a rhythmical feel to this static pad sound. I'm just going to solo these two together. Yeah, that sounds nice. Let's listen to it with the rest of the track. Give that a bit of reverb as well. Doesn't have to be really accurate, but you can hear that that's doing a similar rhythm to the bass. Awesome. I think we're ready to add our own melody to this project now, and for this I'm going to bring in the Noiiz player. The Noiiz player gives you access to a whole bunch of playable sample-based instruments. So if you go to the Noiiz website, click on instruments, you've got guitar, harmonics, there's an mbira, there's a harp, harmonium, mellotron, tubular bells. There's some interesting quirky percussion in there. There's even Leeds Town Hall organ. One of my favourites is the grand marimba. So I'm just going to click in here and go into my Noiiz folder and marimba. There we go. Double click on that one. Bosh, there we go. So I'll arm this track and I'll play you a little bit of this. There are some really nice parameters that you can change in the interface here. You can add, you've got your amp envelope with your ADSR. You can add a bit of space to this as well. Let's just turn it up just a little bit. I'll give that just a little bit of drive as well. You've got a filter here, similar to the noise filter. Give that a little bit of drive, just sort of cut through. Now I've paused the video for 5 minutes and gone away and messed around. You guys don't want to see me messing around trying to come up with a melody for ages. So I've got a melody together which I think works well with the track. So I'll just play this to you. Sounding good. Now, one last thing I want to do here, again, going back to the symmetry thing I was saying earlier about getting symmetry between the rhythmical elements and other parts of your track to create more of a infectious hook. You can do that with the vocals, something I like to do quite often. And so I'm going to get some symmetry between our new melody and the vocal, and I'm going to do that in Ableton using the sampler, or simpler should I say. There's sampler and simpler, but I'm going to use the simple version. And if you can drag anything into the sampler or simpler, any sample, just drag it straight in there. And now, if I arm that now, that means I can, sorry, wrong one. If I arm that, means I can play Sabrina's vocal loop. So I'm going to copy the melody that I've just played. I'm going to put that into the channel underneath. And let's just play the melody and the vocal. Okay, that sounds really out of tune. So the simpler, the root note for the simpler is middle C, but the first note that Sabrina has sung there is an E. So what I need to do is I need to pitch these down by transpose them by 1, 2, 3, 4 semitones. Great. Now I just want to fill these gaps in here. I want to like fill those gaps. So I'm going to get rid of that. Get rid of that. Nice. And what I'm going to do is actually probably just pitch these ones down by 12. Okay. There we go. So we've got some symmetry between, in this section here, between the melody and our vocal. I'm going to add a little bit of reverb to that as well. And we'll play it with the rest of the track. Here we go. Awesome. Now I'm going to just duplicate these over for another 8 bars. So maybe this will be our breakdown. Let me just get rid of, I'll get rid of the melody in there. I'm going to get rid of our beats in there as well. I'll get rid of the lower bit of the vocal for that section. And there you have it, a solid foundation for your next release or your next production with sounds and inspiration purely from the Noiiz library. You can start your membership for free. Just head over to noiiz.com where you can grab a bunch of free samples to get you going. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this session helpful. Don't forget to like and share. And if you have any questions, please leave me a comment and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Until next time, have fun.